Okay, guys, we'll go ahead and get started. First off, welcome to everybody. Appreciate you guys taking your Wednesday night to spend time with us and being flexible that we did move it, being my daughter's birthday yesterday. So thanks for being flexible and jumping on. I'm very excited about today. I know many of us do know Becky Marshall, but for some of you that don't, I did ask Becky to send me a quick bio and she's very humble, but her credentials are extremely high, and we're very fortunate to have it here. So I just want to run through it real quick to give you guys an idea of kind of the caliber person we have helping us tonight. So Becky began officiating 1986, 3 Division I staffs by 1988, the NIAI Women's Championship games for 2 years, Junior College National Championship 3 years, tournament 5 years, and then worked in Division I conferences, the SWC, the Big 8, and the Southwest Conference back then. And then it joined and became the Big 12. Then she worked in the Big 12, the Sun Belt, the Southland, the Mountain West, the Western Atlantic, and Big West conferences, NCAA playoffs in all rounds through regionals. And then from 1997 to 2007 was the coordinator of officials for the Big 12, Sun Belt, and Southland Conference. And like I said, she's very, very humble. But as you can see, what an incredible resume that she has from not just being a referee, from also being a coordinator. And also Becky did evaluate all the games at the state finals, the high school state finals as well. So very fortunate to have her here. We've had fun today going back and forth, I've definitely made Becky more savvy on computers, which has been fun. So teaching her how to do some things, and we've been able to get her on here, which I'm excited about. And she's going to be the host. Her screen is shared, so she's going to navigate through it. I'll go over real quick just the rules of engagement. As always, make sure you're muted so we don't have background noise, and I'm able to kind of go through that. If you do make a mistake, I can mute you for you. I did talk to Becky earlier, and once, and I'm going to say this many times, but really, really wants engagement from everybody. So there's some ways you can do that. You can write in the chat. I'll go through that. And any questions you have for Becky, please, no questions are bad questions. We want you to leave here with nothing unanswered. If you want to ask Becky, a question, you can unmute yourself and come on, or you can raise your hand and I can just facilitate in the order of who can go next. So definitely want you guys asking as many questions as you can. The way that today is going to go is I sent Becky three different games the first quarter. And from our high school games, I also threw them up on our YouTube channel today for you guys to go in and look. And Becky's just going to go through them, how she would evaluate them, how we can look at our game film when we do that. Because we've done so many Zoom meetings the last 3 months, and this isn't a subject that we've talked on. The first time I talked to Becky, wanted to help us do it, and then we started talking about different subjects, and she said, have you talked about how to break down film? And I'm like, wow, we've done everything but that. So this is the right person to help us do it, and something that we can definitely get better at. So that's kind of how it's going to go. I know Becky wanted to kind of talk to everybody the importance of film and breaking down film, and then obviously knowing how to break down film. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it over to Becky. And again, engagement. Please really ask any questions that you want, and we'll go from there. Becky, it's all yours.
Thanks so much, Mark. And I appreciate your patience in getting me on here and helping me with this. And I'm so impressed that y'all are spending this time during the summer, well before the season, to study and evaluate and make an attempt to be better officials. And that means a whole lot, and you won't regret doing it. Videotape is something that's very dear to my heart. And when I first began officiating, I was lucky enough to be associated with a lot of men's officials that were using video. And then when I was a supervisor, Ed Rush kind of took our conference under his wing, and helped us and really emphasized the importance of video. At that time, Ed was working with the NBA training. And I spent a lot of time with him in different sessions. And one of the reasons it's important, it enables us to see not only positioning, play calling, but also how other people view us, our physical appearance, our position on the floor, how we look in a uniform, and whether we're hustling or doing a good job. Just like when you played basketball, those films never lied, whether you were in position when you were supposed to be or whether you were kind of loafing down the court. And this is the same with videotape for officials. And if you really want to pick a thing that will help you improve faster than any other thing in officiating. I think it's videotape study. So I hope you feel free to ask questions. And I'm going to go over this tape like I would any of the tapes that I did when I was a supervisor. And I did as many tapes of games that I could for the officials. So it became kind of second nature. And sometimes if you don't agree with what I say, don't hesitate to, question my opinion. So we're all in this together. So if we look at this game when we start off, what are some things that we can pick up? Number one, if we look at this official over here, does he look athletic in his stance? Does he look ready to go either direction? Whenever we're in position during a dead ball and getting ready for the next action, we should have an athletic stance, just like your shortstop in baseball. Both weight is evenly distributed on the balls of both feet, ready to go in either direction and ready to sprint and give it your all whenever the ball is tossed. Okay, so right away we have this official looking directly at this ball. That means that there are 8 players that these 2 officials are responsible for. This guy has no competitive matchup that we need to be worried about. So we can hustle over behind him, get ready to referee, and be looking down the court for what's likely to happen next. So we're slow at trail getting over to this position at T. We notice that trail is looking over here, got this guy walking into a straight line. He cannot see the ball, so if this defender attacks this offensive player, how can he see between the players? A thing I noticed in the clips that was quite common too, when the ball comes down the center of the court or to the right, that is determines where the lead official immediately goes, either on a transition or in this case on a jump ball. Since the ball came over to this side, and if we go back a little bit, it was dribbled from this side up here, we don't even see the lead official right now. So when the ball swings, he has too far to go to get to ball side. When the ball is here on this side of the court or at the top of the key, his position should be at close down in transition. Why? Because if the ball swings, he's ready to rotate. If the ball stays on this side, then he's ready to move this direction. Does that make sense? Okay, so this guy is now really out of position. His movement should have brought him right down here after this jump ball. Okay, now he's starting to close down. We've got action in the paint, and he seems to be looking on ball. Where is his responsibility? His responsibility is in the lane area where there are 2 competitive matchups. So he needs to be watching that. Trail still hasn't gotten to trail position. So that's just a matter of wanting to. Why is it important? It's important because we need that other set of eyes that has a good angle on the paint play. If the ball drives toward the paint from that other on the opposite side, he can help out. We need him in position, which would be about right in here. Still, we have the lead. Whenever we do make an attempt to go across the paint, Let's make it with like we're serious about it instead of just kind of strolling across the paint. Get across, because we don't want to really do a lot of officiating in the middle of the paint. So get across if you can, get in position so that you can look back into the paint and also pick up any kind of competitive matchup that might be in your area. What can Trail do better here as far as getting ready for the next play? More than likely, this guy will probably go to his right unless this guy sets a screen for him. So he needs to get in an area where he can see through players. He's a little bit deep here as far as close to the middle of the court, because if he makes a call from right here, he has a long way to go to sell that call. Okay, it went the other direction. Lead is rotating now, and it's about time because we've got how many players over here on this side. Trail should recognize that and start moving down to C. Okay, what do we have here? We have a Trail that's about to get straight lined. He's walking into a straight line. So if this guy comes up and slaps the shooter on the forearm, will he be able to see it? Even if he doesn't come up, this is a competitive matchup here. Is he in position to see those two guys? This fella seems to be looking, not sure where. C is already rotating to Trail when he might have been able to stay here and have a better look on the play. I think it's important that you realize that there is no wrong place to be on the court if that's where it takes for you to see the play. And by seeing the play, I mean seeing between the offense and defense in the area of your responsibility. So if this guy at C has a good angle on the play right now, he should not leave that position until the play dictates that he leaves it. Okay, we have Trail already in a position where it looks like he's leaving to go down the court. So he's bailing out. Remember, there could be lots of action on this rebound. So we need him to be in position to referee. Okay, the ball stayed in the front court. Where is Trail? He's out of position. This is normal Trail position. So he needs to hustle back down and don't be in a hurry to bail out. With the ball at this position, what should our lead be doing? We should be moving to close down in anticipation of the ball being swung to this side of the court. This is too far for this lead official to make a move across the paint when he's that far away from the lane area. C, get to where you can see the play, even if it means going down here. This would be more of a normal position and would allow you to see this action better. So rather than standing in back of this guy, then get down here. Trail still out of position. Is there anybody guarding this man with the ball? No, but we have this guy at Trail focused entirely on this guy dribbling. Let's get in a position, even if it means coming onto the court a little bit more, since the ball is way over on this side, so that we can see him out of the corner of our eye. And if we have a competitive type offense and defense where they're trapping at midcourt, we can recognize what's about to happen and we can be ready to referee it. So there's no need to focus so entirely on a player that's not contested. Most of these guys can dribble at this stage of the game. All right, lead's in pretty good position here. He had come to a close down with the ball coming down this side of the court. Trail, continue to get down. He seems to be a little bit slow to me, and I know he can run faster than that. So get down here and be ready to referee. The play's passed up C already. C could have had plenty of time to get down to his normal C position and be ready to referee, stepping down or stepping up so that he could see this play as it develops. Okay, C, normal C position is, oh, I'll run it back too far.
Yeah, it's coming back right now, Becky, you're good.
Okay. So on the drive, he has a pretty good angle right now, but I'd like to see him follow that angle so that he has a good look through that play, which he did continue to go down. So I'm glad he did that. All right, how many players are in the backcourt here? 2, 4, 6, 8. C, your primary responsibility with pressure in the backcourt is to help with that pressure. So C's position right now should be about right here so that he can help referee this group of players. He's running off and leaving that pressure so that this trail has the majority of the players on the court to referee by himself. Okay, now after the long pass was made, let's hustle into position. What's Lee doing? Is he hustling? No. Remember that it's your percentage of getting a play right and making a correct call is much higher when you're not moving. So that if you're already on the baseline and the play is coming to you, then your percentage of getting that play correct is elevated. When you're running alongside, your eyes are moving and it's harder to get a play right. So get in the habit of hustling down and letting the play come to you or accepting the play. Looks like we have two sets of eyes on the ball, although there's no real competitive matchup at this time. But C, get down to normal C position so that you can help with this play. C is working too high. I'd like to see him down lower. Trail, you're out of the picture. Would like to see you down in this position more. Can anybody see between these players? I don't think so. Is he staying with this shooter? I don't know if Trail can see him. He seems to be straight lined, but that would be the point of contact that we need to referee. Mark, do we have any questions? Here again.
Not yet, no, Becky. Sorry, they're just all agreeing and saying great stuff, but no questions yet.
Here again, this guy is just looking totally at this player. When you get into better games, there's going to be pressure at midcourt. That's a real common place to trap. Or there's going to be pressure in the backcourt. We can't afford to just focus on this guy. Get used to seeing a big, wide area of the court. And if we get into a position, and you can practice that during your summer games so that you can see this guy out of the corner of your eye. And if he makes a mistake, you can see it, but you're not totally focused on him. All right. What kind of position is this? Is that an athletic looking position? Not really. Our T is up too high, needs to come down into this area. C is in pretty good shape here. Why don't we have lead rotating across? We have the ball over here. We have several people over here. And that doesn't mean he has to come wide once he gets across, but he needs to be on the move now and refereeing where the play's setting up. Hands on your hips. See, pulling up his pants. All those things are give an impression that you aren't really into the game. And if you're out here spending the time and the effort, you've invested so much, go ahead and give it your all. Look as good as you can, be into the game, and be ready to referee.
Got a question for you, Becky.
All right.
What is Becky's thought on immediate rotation or waiting to see how the offense is going to operate the first couple of times down the floor?
Well, are you not going to have any fouls in that first couple of times down the court? You know, you've got to be ready to referee from the get-go. And yes, you can referee, but you can rotate and still see what the offense, the tendencies are going to be. But you need to put yourself in the best position possible to referee where the action is happening so that you can see between the offense and defense in your area. So yes, by rotating, remember that controls what the other two officials are going to do. So if he is over here the first time down the court with 6 people on his side, you've got to get across. Don't wait. All right. As we continue.
Becky, can I ask a question before you continue? It's Kenny.
Absolutely.
So as a supervisor, if you were at this game, would you address like how slow we were at like a halftime?
You know, I usually didn't. I can't remember really coming in more than once or twice as a supervisor. In this situation, you know, this is something that's not related to judgment, or you know, you made a bad call or something like that, which would just be my opinion or so. This is pretty factual that these guys aren't hustling, and there's no reason for that in my estimation. And yes, I think I'd probably try and put a little burr under their saddle to try and get them a little bit more into this game, because the players deserve it, the coaches deserve it, and the fans deserve it. Okay? That's just my opinion.
Thank you.
Let's watch C after this. Okay, who is he watching right now? Who is he seeing? What if this guy pushes this guy in the back? Who's going to see that? Maybe him. He's got to be aware of what's going on at all times. There's no reason to look down here. Nothing's going on down here. Referee where the players are. He still doesn't even, he's not aware the ball's been thrown in. Get down here. This is his responsibility. He's supposed to be helping with pressure. This is very hard for this man over here at lead, going to trail to referee this play. If this C was down here in normal C position, he'd have a great look right through this play. Who's in position to see that action? The coach. Okay, we had a turnover. Are we hustling back into position? Have we made adjustments? Our trail is out of sight. C isn't hustling. You know, we've got to want to get in position. I don't have the video on, I mean the audio on here, but just for your information, I always like to hear a verbal color on out of bounds, because if you accidentally point the wrong direction, then at least you verbalized and everybody knows you knew what you were doing. C, where are you? Okay, let's look at that again.
You got pushed way back, Becky. You're
I
like at
did.
36. Yeah, you're like at 36 seconds. I'm not sure where you're at. I think you were at closer to 2 minutes.
I was? Okay. This is pretty close.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I wanted to look at this next action where there was a shot here. And I just wondered whether we had very good coverage on this and what y'all thought about that. We're not down here to cover this play very well. We've already seen this. We can do better. Okay, how about that? That was the play. Think about that. Could we have had better coverage on that? Throughout this game, it seemed like people were a little bit hesitant to blow their whistles. All right, ball is far over on this side. We've got C straight lined. All he can see is the back of this player. Trail was way out of position, needed to be down here. We need a rotation going on right now. What's going to happen here? We've got a cutter coming across the paint. Lead has to be in position and be ready to see that. If he's standing over here, he's going to not be able to see through these players. Also, the defender is going to move with the offensive player if he gets the ball, so it might be hard for him to see. Once you commit and go halfway, go ahead and make your rotation. It's too hard on your co-officials to know what you're doing. Lead is looking way over here at the ball. We've got players over here. Maybe he's looking here. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he is, but that's his nearest competitive matchup. Trail is coming out. Well, this is C actually. Oh, Trail is coming out, and he's got his back turned to the majority of the players. Could he possibly be backing out and be in better position? He can come out on the court if he needs to see an angle. He doesn't have to stay off the court. Okay. Lee does a pretty good job of closing down out of these three, better than the others, and a rotation. But just think how few rotations we've had in this game so far. This isn't a fast game, but seems like we could have had a few more. What do you think? With the ball out in this position, then I'd like to see lead out just a little bit wider, about midway between the intersection of the three-point line and the lane line. That way he can open up his shoulders, see this action out of the corner of his eye, and be able to referee any matchups in the paint as well. Where he is right now, he has to turn his head to be aware of what's going on here. Plus, he doesn't have a good angle on this matchup. So come out a little bit wider when the ball is out here in your area. You don't rarely do you have to come way out here. If your shoulders are parallel to the baseline, you can see all you need to see and be able to referee in the paint as well. All right, this is where I'd like to see lead move out to about right here. Trail a little bit high. Always work to get a good angle. Trail has kind of taken himself out of the play. I don't know that he could make a call from that distance if he needed to. Here again is where lead needs to flex out in according to where the ball is, the position of the ball. Let's not be satisfied to get beat to the baseline. Sometimes we will, but let's hustle and work as hard as we can to get there. Lead actually slows up as the ball slows up. Get to the baseline, referee the play coming to you. Our trail is right here, so he made it down into front court. This is something I really don't like to see, is an official on the court before the ball is thrown in. I can tell you some stories, some bad stories about what happens when you do that. But remember, you're the trail. You're trailing the ball. So let the player get onto the court and give yourself a cushion after they get on the court before you get on the court. I don't have a problem with him being ahead of this guy, but I would have a problem if he was ahead of the guy with the ball. Okay, timeout. Any questions?
Yeah, we got some for you. So one is, can you ask? Can you have Becky speak on officials being planted and not reacting to play a ball movement?
Oh yes, you know, and you'll see it in this clip, one of these clips, where you know, you don't move the whole time for 11 seconds and the players are moving and the ball's moving, changing positions. There's no way you can maintain an open look between the offense and the defense of your responsible players, or the players you're responsible for, when that's happening. So you have to be ready to maintain that open look, because as soon as the ball comes into your area and those players get it that you're officiating, you have to be ready to referee. You can't wait and step out of a straight line and expect to see a play. And when you get into better games, this game is kind of slow motion to a certain extent, and you can get into bad habits during these type of games. Not much off-ball action at all. You know, not a lot of shooting, not a lot of scoring. But you have to force yourself every time you're on the court into good habits, or else those bad habits will catch up with you when you are in a good game. And then you won't be able to get in any good games because you don't have those good habits.
Another question is, and what's been a pretty common trend with all the videos we've been going over the last few months, is the importance of getting to your starting or home position. Do you mind touching on that? I know you've kind of said a few things on it, but I know this crew isn't really doing a good job of getting to their
no, they're not. Remember, when the ball is coming down the center, we have the court. Let's draw a line down the very center of the court. When the ball is coming down this side of that center line, then if lead is on this side, he needs to be in close down. We'd like to wait till trail gets in the front court to make a rotation, but he needs to be ready to rotate because the ball is already on this side. And normally players sit up on ball side. If the ball is coming down the middle of the court, we still need to be at close down. And why is that? Because there's a 50% chance it'll go this way and a 50% chance it'll go this way. No problem backing out a few steps if it goes over to this side, but there is a problem getting into position if it goes over here. So lead has to be aware of that ball position and getting to a good starting position to be ready to referee. And it's important, trail gets into front court and gets in normal position as soon as he can, so that lead, when they rotate, trail can then assume the C position as soon as possible. Does that answer that question?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, lead comes over. This is a pretty good example of not moving right here at C. That is what I call planted. And if we look at C's position, not only his position, but as that ball is shot, let's look at his eyes. What's he watching right now? The flight of the ball. I don't know of any fouls that are going to occur on the rim unless we've got some really tall guys. This is where you need to be watching. Forget the flight of the ball. Watch the players. Somebody can push, they can elbow, they can trip. That is your responsibility. C, I don't know if he recognizes that there was a rotation or not, but he should be at trail position right now because there was a rotation. So I would suggest that he widens his view, becomes a little more aware of what his co-officials are doing so he can pick up a rotation and be ready to referee and be in the right place at the right time. Here again, C's leaving the play too quickly. Pretty good position here by lead. That's a good starting position when the ball comes over on that side of the court. All right. A little better hustle there. Let's look at lead position right here before this shot. He decides not to rotate, so he needs to back out to about midway between the three-point line and the lane line. What he does, he stops right here. The ball widens. All he has to do is open up his shoulder a little bit, and he can see this ball out of the corner of his eye. That's not his main focus. This is a competitive matchup here. C can be watching this competitive matchup. I'm not sure what exactly is right here, but it looks right now the ball is in the corner. This is what I don't like to see, is that this guy is totally unaware of what's happening out here. Just by stepping to his left one step, opening his shoulder so that he's more parallel to the baseline, he'll be able to see this guy out of the corner of his eye. So if he starts a drive, he'll be aware of it and can pick it up quickly rather than it coming to right here before he sees it. And that can be really critical when, and I've seen a lot of missed block charges because of that position at lead. Let's look at that position. Let's run that back a little bit there. What could we do better right here? This guy's late picking up the ball. This is a competitive matchup, and we should have been watching it from sooner than this. Then when it turns the corner, we've got a screen getting ready to be set here. Lead should have already been out here on the other side so that they could help out with this high screen. Trail is nowhere in sight. So now C is refereeing that screen and the ball handler. Did we have a push by black here? Or blue, whatever that color is? If we did, we didn't call it. Maybe the guy just tried to hook him and fell, but see what you think. Looks like there was some contact there. How could we better officiate that? Move with the play, get an angle, hustle into position. Then as that shot is taken there, was C in a good position to see it? I don't think so. He actually walks into a straight line. He steps down to where he can't see between these two players. If you have a good look, keep that position. Don't move and lose it just to get to a certain place on the court. Here again, very slow at lead. Had he been to the proper position at the intersection of the lane and the lane line, he could have made a quicker rotation. C's doing a good job coming down with the pressure. All right, tell me about, let's look at C right here. Where should lead be? Right here. Now when it goes over, he could be starting over already, but he has too far to go. C has a pretty good position right now. I'd like to see him even step a little bit further down this way so he has a better look through these players. But why is he moving away from the play at this time? The play goes, the drive goes to the basket. This is the point of contact here that he really needs to be in position to see, and his angle would be better if he steps down. Remember, C can work. Normal C position is at the top of the key to the bottom of this circle if there was a continuous circle. So let's go down and keep that angle rather than moving up to referee I don't know what, and plus you're moving really out of a C position when you need to still be there. Trail, get down there, step down. Again, C steps into a straight line. If a person has their back to you before they have the ball, what's going to happen when they get the ball? You're going to be late. So you need to move to get in position before they receive the ball. Okay, we're real hesitant to rotate at lead, it seems. Here again, could we have gotten down faster to beat this play? I think so. Good no call. Okay, let's look at that foul call reporting technique. This is something you can practice in the mirror. Remember, this is a time, dead ball time, and you need to do your best to communicate. We always want to give the number, we verbalize, and give a signal. I didn't see a push signal. I didn't see a hack signal. So we could do better than that, I think. All right. Trail up a little bit high then. Good example of stepping into a straight line at C. Which direction would he have been better off going here? He steps to his right. When that action occurs, had he stepped this way, he would have had a much better look through the play. Sometimes someone will block you out that's not really one of the players that are involved, but do your best to try and maintain that open look. Arms crossed during this free throw. Well, maybe they weren't crossed, but even look athletic if you can during a free throw and dead ball situation. Any comments on that play? No. This is not the position we want to see lead at. 1 foot on the court, that's just being lazy. We can do better than that. Notice his position, how he's leaning rather than moving for position. Move your feet, don't just move your body. Don't bend at the waist. Widen it lead. When the ball's out on this side like that, try not to be perpendicular to the baseline with your shoulders. Open your shoulders so that you're flatter and you can widen your view much better. Give it a try and see what you think.
Got a question for you, Becky.
Okay.
Ask Becky if she would prefer coming to a stop rim reporting foul. So I know the Texas exemption, we can walk and talk, but in high school, do you have a preference if we jog out to the reporting box and then report, or?
I think it's just important that you move with a purpose rather than just kind of dilly-dallying around. You should be professional looking, and you should be, this is a time for you to exhibit some confidence and look sure about your call, and you can reflect that in how you report. So your signals should be sharp. They should be made at about eye level, because that's where you want to make contact with the scorer. Whether you walk and report while you're walking, just do it with a purpose. And depending on the scorekeeper, some of them may not be very good, and it might be harder for them to understand you if you are moving. Remember to clear the players, though, before you start your reporting, because if they're walking in between you and the scoring table, it's hard to get everything right, and some of our scores aren't always the best. I sure didn't like that position. What did y'all think? Why is he on the front? You know, even if there was going to be a turnover, you don't have to step on the court right away. Let the players clear and let the ball settle. And even if it's a fast break, then follow it. But try not to get on the court. Let's watch this foul call technique. Does he look confident? Does he look into it? Try and make eye contact as soon as you can with the scorer and get all of your information at the spot of the foul before you take off. Nothing looks worse to me than, or makes you look more unsure of your call than leaving the spot and then having to look back to see what the number was or who the foul shooter is. Get all of that information at the spot and then go report. Dead ball situations are a time that you can really get things going, especially in a slower moving game. Get to your positions, be sharp, communicate well, get the players in position and get them ready to go. I'm not going to say any more about that. Okay. Another thing about foul call reporting. I think you can save yourself a lot of headaches down the line, especially in a loud gym where it's a tight game. If you take your time at the spot of the foul, you know, when you think about it, it's in foul call reporting where we make probably the majority of our mistakes if we're going to, you know, look bad. Stay at the spot of the foul and verbalize. Verbalize at the spot, color and number, and the next action. That way you communicate with not only your co-officials, but with the players as to what's going to happen. You know, it could be a guy's fourth foul and he doesn't even know it's on him because there were 3 people that were fouling the guy. Your co-officials may not know who the foul was on for the same reason. And if you would forget who your fouler was on the way to the table, how do they know who it is if you haven't told them? By giving them the next action read out of bounds baseline, they can get the players ready to get down there and put the game back into play as soon as possible. Okay, he not much of a stoppage of the clock there. He was pointing the baseline as to where it goes. But does anybody know who the foul was on as far as his co-officials? Probably not. Now, this would be a time where I think they could hustle a little bit to get back and get in position. I want to go to this play right here. All right. We see any illegal action there? We have a foul call, but did we miss the first part of it? Why is he moving out of position? He has a pretty good look here. How about that? Is that legal? Maybe, maybe not. But can we see it if it's happening? No. So we need to determine whether we need to get down or get out on the court to be able to see that bumping. Position, position, position. And a real key to that is watching the defensive player. We know what the offensive player is going to do. They're going to dribble, they're going to pass, or they're going to shoot. So pick up the defense and see where they start and where they stop. The defense is going into the player, then it's probably a defensive foul, right? Practice watching the defense, either on TV or when you're watching your videos, and it'll really help you to be a better foul caller. Okay, that's going to be all for this one. Questions?
Yeah, Becky, it's Kenny. I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so when you're breaking down film, what should I be doing with the film as I'm looking? What things will help me to see the things that I'm supposed to see? Where should I stop film? Those kind of, like, what are you looking at when I watch you evaluating at the state tournament? You're always typing and moving, and what things are you keen off of?
A position in relation to the play, where you are, and whether you are in a position to see between the offense and the defense. And it might not be on ball, it might be off ball, but are you working to maintain an open look? That is, and I think that's one thing you can gain through film. When you have a play that a foul that you make or contact that you don't call, check out your position to see whether it could have been, if there was a position you could have been in that would allow you to see that play better. I think that's really a big key. Another thing is how the crew works together as far as coverage. If one guy is doing a lot of moving, if he's, rotating like he's supposed to, are the others picking up on it? Or are they so focused on watching the ball that they have a narrow focus and don't really see the whole court? I equate officiating to driving a car. I may have the ball right in front of me, which would be the car in front of me, but I see other things too when I'm driving. You see somebody coming down an exit ramp or entrance ramp. You see what's happening ahead of the car in front of you. You see what's happening on the side. And that doesn't mean you're not watching the car in front of you, but you have to be aware of more things than just that on the court. And that might not be a good illustration, but I think it will help you to widen your view. There are times we narrow our focus on when we have a very competitive matchup, but the majority of the time we need to have a pretty good view of the whole court in a way to understand what's likely to happen next and us be ready for it. It bothers me that we've gotten so focused on don't call out of your area. You're not getting paid to just call in one area. You're getting paid to call illegal action. And if everybody in the stand sees illegal action and it's in front of one official and the other two pass on it, even though they saw it, we're not doing our job, and we're not being fair. And so I think we have to be aware. I'm not saying call all over the court by any means, but I think you need to be aware of what's happening on the court. It'll help you be ready for the next action or what's likely to happen. And if there is a big collision or something that happens that needs to be called and everybody knows it, then you're there to make it. And I would certainly not ever criticize an official for calling out of their area if they call a foul that needed to be called that made a difference. And I don't care if it's in the last 3 seconds of the game. That's just my opinion. Okay, Mark, where's my widen this screen? There we go. This is interesting to me as we watch this referee. What kind of impression are you getting from the very start of the game? Now it's been 11 seconds since this all started, and now it's 14, and we're finally getting ready to throw up the ball at 17. Maybe we could get our lanyard on, have it already on, not need to turn our backs to the players and walk over here to this side of the court. Maybe we could be into the game a little bit more and not trying to draw as much attention to ourselves. The attention should be on the players. And let's always remember that. And the less attention we call to ourselves, the better off we'll be. That was a good toss. Okay, I like the way we had a lead down there ready to accept the play. This is what I'm talking about, being perpendicular to the baseline. I would have liked to have seen this lead open up his right shoulder a little bit, be a little bit more open so that he was able to see not just this area, but also over here in case there was some kind of contact that needed to be called. This is a hard play to referee, and I think it's one that we miss quite frequently. More than likely, 5 is going to drive to his right because he's right-handed. We have a screen about to be set. C, I would like to see him, the C official, hold back just a little bit instead of going down this, so far at C position, because we don't really have this play covered right now. We have trail way back here in backcourt. If we had a C here, we'd have a good look through here. We can always move on down as the play allows, but referee where the play dictates. Then, as this screen is being set, blue is going to go over the screen. We have no one that has an angle through this play. And right around in this area, when the ball handler turns the corner, very often in offenses, is where we have contact that we miss because C is down too low, T might be up too high, and we miss that contact. So position yourself as to where the play is going to allow you to be and see the play. We've got lead a little bit too closed in this position right now. I think he could open up and have a pretty good view without having his shoulders perpendicular to the baseline. He's in a little bit tight as that play comes down the paint or the side of the paint. I'd like to see him a little bit wider here. Pretty good job of off-ball coverage here. Don't be content to see the back of a player. Work to see through the players rather than seeing the back of them. Much better coverage in this with this crew. Lee could hustle down even faster because I know he can run faster than that. All right, that was a little bit of a late call. I don't know why Lee didn't have the call. It looked like it was a foul. And I'm just wondering what he saw. Maybe he had it as well, and I didn't see his arm go up. But just something to think about. Now here, this official is doing a much better job of looking down the court and not just watching the dribbler. But with him in this position, the only way he can see the dribbler is to turn his head. So I'd like to see him a few steps further behind the dribbler than he is. And I think he could see him out of the corner of his eye as well as what's getting ready to happen down the court. If you're flat to the dribbler like that, it's hard to see him and the action down the court. All right, let's look at our lead position. Have we made any effort to close down? The ball's already on this side of the court. We should be in a rotation or over on this side now. See, can we get in better position to see through that play? Can we come down here and have a better look? That doesn't mean you have to stay down here. You can come back up when the play allows you to. Really, no reason why there wasn't a rotation there. Okay, the lead's kind of planted on that baseline there, so I'd like to see a little bit more movement there. Okay, this is kind of another example of that corner being turned where we don't get very good coverage. How could we cover this play better? Got a competitive matchup that right over here that's going across the paint. Right now we're straight lined. We need to make a move either high or low in order to see through this play. We've already seen that this guy's going to drive to the right, and if he's right-handed, that's going to be his that's going to be his first choice usually. So in that case, our step would be in the opposite of the direction he's going. If we continue to go in the direction he's going, we're going to be straight lined. So immediately we should be moving out onto the court just a little bit. We have a good position here, but right here, if we have a push or a hack from this 42, who can see it? He could push 25 right in the back and we'd have a hard time seeing that. So this might be a time we could step down at this time. Whatever it takes, move to be able to see that play. That's a hard one to officiate, but we're not going to get it if we don't try and make a move. Good communication at the spot. Let's get across. Good job of looking off ball at lead. Could we do better at lead getting to the baseline? This is a critical time right here. If there's contact, if there's going to be a foul, this is quite often the time it's going to happen. Kind of like that drive we had just a minute ago. Are we in position to referee it? Nobody has a very good angle, do they? Trail could have been quicker getting down the court. I think he was content to stay back there in the back when we should never be content to do that. We need you up in the front court at Trail. Not sure what that call was. What was it? Is that a foul?
Yeah, rebound foul.
Okay. All right. If I could we make that a little clearer maybe? As far as, so if you're in that big, so that was a foul, is that what you're saying?
Mhm.
Did he, okay, so why do we drop our fist so quickly? Doesn't that look like we're kind of unsure? Keep your fist up, let everybody know you're proud of your call. You know, I know that was a foul. So report it, talk at the spot, then go to the table. Being in too big of a hurry makes you look a little bit uncertain. Wider at lead. This would be your normal position at this time. Nothing in the paint, referee. Always work to see through the play. You had the best look on that play, probably. If we wanted a good angle, then C would have been the one that had the best angle. So sometimes we get fooled at lead to see bodies and not miss contact. He had a foul call, but don't hesitate at C if you have a good look from that angle to make a call. This is what I'm talking about. Right here, we've got a lot in the paint area, but if he opens his right shoulder a little bit, he would really have a much better, wider view of this entire group of players here. Okay, should we at least be a close down here? I think so. Then we can always back out if we need to. We don't need to be backing out further. This is too wide, really. This guy's tall. He can see what he needs to from this position. If you're shorter, you might need more distance between you and the play, but a tall guy like this does not. He's backing away from where the ball is headed, the way it ends up. Okay, where's our trail? Lead, better position. Get in better position, I should say. Okay, what about this contact here? Anybody see anything? Not really. Pretty good no call there. We're going to look at that foul call, and leads a little wide here. I'd like to see him in a little bit more. And again, a start position without his shoulders so perpendicular to the baseline. Okay, we have offensive foul. Good job of staying with the play. Any questions? 4 players here, no other competitive matchup, so I can see why we have both of these guys watching this play. Just be aware of what's going on other places in your area.
Becky, do you mind talking, if you go back to that frame you just had? Because we've talked a lot about having, it's okay to have 4 sets of eyes on multiple screening action, but whose primary is what on this? Obviously, we can't have two referees watching the ball, so how would you cover that play?
I think this is C's primary. What throws this off kilter is that lead is nowhere near making a rotation. If we had a rotation getting ready, since he's in the front court, although he was slow getting there, we would be allowing C to come up here, and that's why it's important that lead be aware of when C needs to come over here and be ready to referee this play. I don't have any trouble with C stepping out of position here to be able to referee this, because I think he's the one that's going to have the best look. Trail can help, but it's a ways away from him. So the thing is, C has lost his angle on the ball, so there's no sense in him trying to referee that. He can referee this matchup, but if he doesn't move up here to be able to see that, he's not doing anybody any good. Right now, Trail's the only one that can see this angle. But lead, you've let us down here because we weren't able to really cover this play the way we were supposed to.
Question. On the frame before, when the C could have been watching the ball, could have moved up, and he didn't. Would it be okay for Trail to move in closer to the play?
Yes, he could. But he actually has a pretty good look right now. But he could go this way, probably more toward the center of the court, and get a better look rather than coming closer this way. You see what I'm talking about? I think his angle would be better if he went this way. And don't feel bad about doing that. Don't feel like you have to stay over here by the sideline. If the play dictates you going over here, do so. You're not going to go across midcourt, but you're not going to go across the middle of the court if we drew a line right down the center of it. But you can go as far as that if you need to. Just like in the backcourt, if the ball's coming down this side of the backcourt and Trail is over here, he can go to the center of the court to referee a competitive matchup if he needs to. But rather than coming closer, I think staying, determined, getting in a position where the angle is better is the key. But yes, go to where you need to go to referee the play. I don't think anybody's going to ever get mad at you for making a good call and being out of position. Now, if you're out of position and make a bad call, then maybe so. But I think you see what I mean. Because this is a hard spot right here. C has not made any effort to maintain some kind of look. I mean, even if he had come down here at this time now, maybe we could have had a look, but this is just a hard spot. The only way we could have really refereed this is if C was up here, and he can't really get that high unless lead has rotated. It's always when they're turning that corner that the defender can put an arm on them, or they can push off from the defensive player. I don't know where lead is. He's really wide now, and there was no reason for him to ever be out of the picture like he was. And I don't think C's moved since the ball was over there on his side. We can see lead out of the corner of our the frame here, leaning back as the drive is coming to him. It's almost like he's not ready for the drive because he's so focused over here open up a little bit, be ready for that drive when it comes so that it doesn't catch you by surprise. Should be a close down at lead, rotating across. Okay, that looked like a pretty good call there. What do y'all think? Watch the defense. Let's just watch the defensive player. I think he definitely charged into that guy. I don't know if he was contacted by the other two or not. I couldn't tell. Let's try not to get ahead of the ball handler. This would be a good time for him to move over a little bit onto the court, like someone asked a while ago. We should have a lead rotating or over. And we don't even have him at close down. This can be really where our coverage breaks down if we don't have a lead that recognizes that and makes the move so that our officials can move according to where they need to go.
Becky, I have a question for you on that. Obviously, the trend is not having an active lead, not getting a close down. What kind of conversations are you having, possibly, maybe your first dead ball or your timeout? What are good ways to get the crew possibly getting us in the better positions and talking to maybe the individual just as the crew? What are your
I like getting together. I really encourage officials, or used to encourage officials, to get together during the first couple of timeouts and talk about things like that and say, you know, even if it makes you look like the weak link, and say, you know, I'm having a hard time covering some of these plays, and I wonder if maybe if we could rotate sooner, I could get up there a little higher quicker. And, you know, so what do y'all think? Do you think maybe we should be rotating a little sooner? And, you know, there's ways you can present it to your co-officials without pointing a finger too much, but it needs to be addressed. And because you become very uncomfortable knowing that you're not being able to see the play like you're supposed to. So, most times they'll pick up on that, and you know, if it doesn't work, then get the other guy on your side and say, look, we've got to get him to rotate more. So that's how I would handle it anyway. But I would use timeouts rather than just standing there looking at the crowd. You know, the players are getting together and with their coaches and talking strategy, and I think officials ought to do the same.
Thank you. Very good advice.
Okay. What does this tell you? We're not moving our feet. We're bending at the waist to get an angle. Don't like to see that. Was anybody on the shooter at that time? Our trail should be in sight right now. This is where we have, if we widen our view, since we don't have a trail here, looks like we had eyes on it, but I don't, maybe there wasn't anything there. This is what I was talking about in the backcourt. say we have heavy pressure right here, this guy's right on top of him. C is going to stay down with the pressure, but lead can come over into this area to better help referee that type of play rather than staying on the sideline. So don't feel like you can't get onto the court in the backcourt at trail. It's important to move at C as well as your other positions. I can't emphasize enough how, as the ball is moving, the players are moving, you've got to be moving to maintain an open look. An open look, being able to see between the offense and the defense, and that's critical. Okay, any questions on that clip?
Nope, I don't have any there.
Is everybody asleep?
No.
I don't know why not.
Can you elaborate a little bit on when you said that to move in? Were you talking about to get more on the court?
As trail coming down in the backcourt?
Yes, ma'am.
If the play dictates, sometimes you'll run into teams that press all over the court, and they may be trying to trap on C side. And so that's when you can come further onto the court if you're coming up this direction at trail and all the pressure is over here, especially at midcourt. You may want to get right in here to help referee that play. So don't feel like you can't get onto the court. Remember, there's going to be a line that we're going to draw right down the center of the court, and we don't want you to get past that, but you can get right to it if that's where you need to go to help referee the play.
Thank you.
And that doesn't mean you're going to do that every time, but there are certain situations where there's pressure in the backcourt and competitive matchups where you might have to. All right, let's look at C position right here. Lead's a little bit slow. I would like to see him already at close down, of course, but C has, right now, he has a good look, doesn't he? And that's perfect. If he steps down even a step more, he'll be able to see her see between these two players as they turn the corner. Why is he leaving that angle and having to look back over his shoulder? Go ahead and stay there and referee that play. Don't expect lead to be picking it up, although this lead seems to be. You have the best look. The play started from your area. Finish that play because you know what's going on and really have the best angle on the play. But he puts himself out of position, and even now he's straight lined. So we don't really have good coverage. We don't have a C at this time because we haven't noticed that there's been a rotation. And we're looking back over our shoulder in a very unnatural position here at lead. We can do better than that. Where is his eye focusing? On the ball. We don't need to worry about the ball when it's in flight. All right, everybody's set up pretty well here. Got 2 people watching the ball here. Nothing much in the paint. Maybe that's okay at this time, but I think lead needs to be aware of the paint. Let's make a movement one way, maybe out toward the baseline here so we can make sure we see this angle. We haven't had a rotation. I don't know what he's basing his rotation on, but, and that's something we might want to talk about. When do we rotate? The ball, not necessarily just because the ball is on one side, but where are the players? Where are the majority of the players? Where is the post getting ready, setting up? And you can learn more about their offenses as you watch them a little bit, but you have to anticipate where the action's going to be. If we've got an isolation on one side, one-on-one, all the players on the other side, you can referee from the other side, but all those players over there are certainly going to be an indication. But I can't emphasize how important it is to be in position to rotate so that you're not late rotating. That's just really key. Now, I think we'd have some trouble with this crew if we had a game where we had a lot of off-ball action. If you look at their heads, you'll see that their eyes are following the ball almost all over the court. It may not hurt you in this game, but it will hurt you down the road. Too wide at lead. I think we have a travel there. You know, even though the games might not be the caliber we would like for them to be, we have to make ourselves work hard and get in good habits. Then we don't have to think about it. It comes natural. And then when we're in a really good game that's a real challenge, we're much more likely to be ready to referee whatever it gives us. A little slow there to rotate out at T. Lead did come across. Now we have a C, 2 C's. Not sure why we have that, but let's be aware, have a big focus. A wide look as to what our co-officials are doing so we can pick up rotations and be in position when they take place. Hustle down to lead. Get in position at C to be ready for the next action so that we're not straight line. I think we have 3 eyes on the ball. All right, this is what I'm talking about. Clear the players before you report. As you see, this guy is getting ready to report, and players are going to be walking in between he and the scoring table. want to look at that again. I guess this was a kickball, possibly. I mean, it looks like the signal is a kickball. I don't see a kick really, but I don't understand why we're taking it out on the side. Well, I guess he called it a kick violation there at that spot, and so he brought it up there. But I kind of questioned that one. What could we do better on this play? Could we be in better position? Could we have seen it clearer if we had hustled down better? Those are the things you can ask yourself when you're watching tape. Rather than running to the baseline and then turning around and refereeing, we have somebody walking. You know, the girl goes down. Did she get fouled, or was that just a good block? Could we really see it? Lead is so wide, he probably didn't feel comfortable making a call. That was kind of a delayed whistle. Good communication at the spot. He is totally out of the picture. Remember, rebounds are what we need to referee, so that's where the action is, not down the court where the players are coming eventually. I'm not sure there's ever a time you need to back onto the baseline. Run to the baseline, then turn around and set the play. Where's our tee? When you see that shot going up right like that and the ball heading over this way, at least move to close down and anticipate a rotation. That way you don't have to run across the paint. You're ready to walk across and be ready for the play. These guys are talking during the timeout. That's a good deal. Long timeout. Way to get in the front court trail. Okay, I wanted y'all to watch that little sequence, and we'll run that back. Obviously, the coach didn't like this call, or no call. So Let's have some input on this. What do y'all think? Had somebody had a hold of her? Was that a tie ball? Did she travel? What do you think? Okay, so the coach is probably making some noise over there. And I'm not disputing whether she needs a technical, but why does the guy on the baseline have to be the one that gives it to her? Was Trail not aware that she's raising a fuss, or is C, they're both closer to her? And so
Hey, Becky and Mark, if I'm not mistaken, I think the technical foul is on 23 White there, the player who did the travel. It looks like she got up and turned her attention and said something to the official.
Okay, all right. Well, that makes more sense then. Because if it was the coach that was raising the stink way over here on the other end, I was surprised that these other officials left it up to this man to be the one that gave her the technical. As we watch this technical, this is another time when we're kind of, excited in a way, that's something that's a little bit out of the ordinary. We need to be sure we're watching the players at all times. And this is a good time, excuse me, to communicate with our co-officials exactly what we have, because they may not know who the technical was on or what it was for. And that way we can make sure the players are going to the right end of the court and getting ready for the next action. As it ends up, the official that's reporting is pointing to the baseline, and so that looks like they're not really sure about what they're doing. So if we take our time and communicate, then it makes us look better, and it makes us look like we definitely know what we're doing. Any comments on that? And another thing on technical fouls, if we have someone that an official that gives a technical, say to a bench, and the coach gets aggravated of getting the technical, or somebody on the bench says something, I think it's a good crew concept that we don't force that same official to give the next technical if it's warranted. It should be one of the other officials that gives that second technical. That's just good teamwork, and it doesn't put the onus on just one official. But if there's a second one that is deserved, I'd like to see the official that gave the first technical to kind of remove themselves from the position where they would be tempted to give the second technical, and the other crew officials have their backs and be the ones that have to give the next one if it's warranted. Everybody understand what I'm saying about that?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
When we look at this official, I wonder if he knows he has a habit of keeping his arm bent when he's running and when he's standing in one spot, which is, just a little different. Now, if we had something there, I'm not saying there needed to be a call, but why would we have missed it? Let's watch the eyes on the guy at lead as he goes up to watch the flight of the ball. that's why we don't want to watch the flight of the ball. We want to watch the players.
Hey, can I ask a question of you, Becky?
Absolutely.
So from the aspect of call sequencing and call cataloging, just 2 plays prior to that, you just had a play where you felt like your player got fouled or a jump ball, but the official called traveling. Probably was a travel, who knows? However, she gets a technical foul for unsportsmanlike conduct to that official. Then 2 plays later, you come down and you have an obvious player that gets thrown down by her neck on the ground right in front of your bench. So just for call cataloging, call sequencing, can you give us a little bit of your opinion on that?
Well, I think that's a little bit in the line of common sense officiating. You know, if we go back to that play down here, right here, let's watch that again. This might be one of those plays if it was, you know, one that I was talking about earlier. That C could have made that call if he wanted to, if he thought, you know, he had a good look at it. Lee didn't see the play, you know, bottom line. He just saw the aftermath because he was watching the flight of the ball. And, you know, that might be one that I would call from anywhere on the court if it's warranted. And I think that you have to understand the frustration that the players or the coaches might feel because of this sequence. And then maybe you might have a little tendency to call a little tighter on something like that than you might have if that other play hadn't happened. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
You know, I'm not big on keeping up with numbers of fouls and that type of thing. I'm more concerned with calling the fouls that are illegal. I mean, the contact that is illegal. Sometimes your foul count won't be the same. And but I think that if you see a foul that maybe should have been called and was missed, then you need to be aware of that we need to maybe tighten up a little bit more or talk about things like that, and so that we're on the same page. And even if like in this situation, if this was a call that you felt like needed to be made because of what happened on the other end, then call it from C, because you can't assume that you can have a late call. It's better to have a late call and call a foul that's there than to, you know, have a quick whistle and call something that's not. So see the entire play and then determine what needs to be done.
Becky, would you refer that to a crew saver on that particular call?
You know,
you know, being the action that was missed on the other side, then we came in to see all this action over here. I'm just kind of asking that.
Well, you know, I'm not sure the girl didn't travel. You know, the kid had her arm wrapped around her there, but she might have had it on the ball. I can't say for sure, but you know, I don't think it would have hurt anything to come in here and make this call. No, I don't think that would have been bad at all, because somebody had their arm around somebody else's neck, and that's one that needed to be called. And if you don't make those calls, then you're going to have trouble down the road. And, you know, when you look at fights that happen in games, and you'll ask the crew, well, what brought that on? Well, nothing. All of a sudden, they just started punching. Well, there's always something that led up to it. They may not have seen it, but there were things going on that led up to it. And so that's part of talking to the players when you see something like this, or, trying to calm them down and say, we're going to get the next play after the one before that maybe you might have missed a call, or we'll get the next one. Don't worry, we've got it. And let them know that you're aware, and put yourself in their position. Remember what it was like when you were a player, and don't ever forget that, because that's really who we're here for anyway.
Becky, I have a question. And this is I wouldn't say maybe a culture change, but something we're trying to improve on within our chapter is and you touched on it earlier, I'm glad you did, but maybe you may want to elaborate again, is when to come out of your primary. I like when you said that doesn't mean you have to go get every play, but there was a comment on here that a referee said, and I'm glad they said it, because I hear it a lot. I know a lot of referees do that. If you come all the way from center to get this play, then everyone's going to be yelling at you, coaches, fans, whatever, and that you're not trusting your partner. So we've discussed, the last few months about what's good for the game, illegal contact, those type things. But I think coming from you with your credentials and not refereeing in our chapter may help. But what are your thoughts when you hear things of that nature about trusting your partners, not coming out of your primary? And I'm strictly talking about these types of plays, like plays that are, illegal, obvious, maybe good for the game,
you're going to take heat when you make a call a lot of times, and when you don't make a call. And, as long as you know that was the right call, and that's what you can say to them, yeah, coach, but it was the right call and it needed to be made. And nobody can argue that fact. The thing is, on those type of plays, I always tell my officials, that's a play I can defend. If a coach calls me and says, look at this play, and why did this guy make this call from, left field? And I said, because it needed to be made. And what can they say? It was a foul. And so it doesn't matter. Somebody dropped the ball and he picked it up. So that's what's important. And that's our role out there, is to call illegal action that makes a difference. And I don't think anybody can ever, look at you and say you shouldn't have done that, when everybody in the stands knows it was there.
Thank you.
I mean, that's our job. That's why we're out there.
Agreed.
I feel badly for officials that think that guys are on the court before the ball's inbounded, that think they can't play, they can't call a foul that's slightly out of their area or out of their area, and when they know it needs to be called. That's a very bad feeling, when you know that we missed that play and I could have done something about it. That's not that's not a feeling you want to have after the game. And I know it wasn't one I wanted to have, and I don't think any one of you wants to. And you don't have to have a quick whistle by any means on a play like that. It's good to have a slow whistle, let it develop, and give the official that's there an opportunity to make the call. And it's okay to be late, but come in and make it, because it needs to be made. Okay, I think that's about the end of this. That was a good example right there of if C had come up to follow that play to the lane, we would have had a much better play angle on the play. right now. If he steps up this way, he's going to be able to follow that play to the basket. Defense had her arm on the player. Maybe it didn't make enough contact, but he has no look, you know, before this on the action. That's what I'm talking about, moving to keep an angle between the offense and the defense. Watch the defense, and in your film review, practice picking up the defense. And it'll make your calls a lot easier. You'll be ready for the contact when it occurs, and I think you'll find it'll make you a better official. So that's about all I have, and I'll take any other questions, but I can't encourage you enough to watch your game films. Whatever it takes to get some, there's lots of ways to do that. Watch other game tapes, but it's a mirror of what your officiating is like, and the more you watch, the better you'll be. I guarantee you that. It'll be time well spent. That's for sure.
Any questions for Becky to close? This has been awesome. Thanks, Becky. Anybody any questions to close?
Thank you so much for your time tonight. It's been invaluable, and we really can't put a price on it. I hope you come back again.
Well, thanks. I'm really excited that y'all are doing this, like I said, in the summer, and taking the time to look at any of the training you're doing. And you know, it's always fun to get several people and help you break down your films with you. And you know, you can make a little party out of it and have everybody bring one of their tapes, and it's good to hear other comments as well. So make it fun, and you'll gain from it, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Becky.
Thank you, Becky.
Thank you so much.
All
I'll record it like always. It's been recorded.
Becky.
I'll throw it on YouTube, and I'll send it to you as well, Becky, if you want to. I'll send you the link to go back and look. And I'm not gonna put it on you, but I would love to have you back. But me and you will talk about that when we can get you back on for sure. But thank you so much, and appreciate you guys hopping on. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, Mark.
Becky.